What does the machine need humans for? In the United Arab Emirates, they have a Minister for Artificial Intelligence. It's a real ministry. In Germany and other countries, there are departments for the homeland now, which is certainly important. But the UAE, they have a Ministry for Artificial Intelligence. Why? Because they have recognized the enormous challenges. Because everything a human can do, the machine of hardware and software can already or soon do better. What does the machine need humans for? This question sounds evil and disrespectful. What else than humans does really matter? But the question is also useful. This question is helpful to our search for our markets, businesses, and jobs of the future. Everything a human can do. Humans can recognize. We are a sensory miracle. We can see, hear, feel all kinds of things. And yet the machine can already do it better. Better than the average human, it can recognize from the face of a person whether he or she is lying. And it can recognize the sexual orientation from 5 photos of a person with 91% reliability. With 1 photo, it's 84%. This is true for men. With women, sexual orientation is somewhat more difficult to recognize from the face. When we've recognized, we can learn. We are unbelievably good at learning. We were not born to ride a bicycle and build submarines, and yet we can learn it. For 1,500 years, we've been developing the game of chess. And as you know, we've had chess computers for decades. Chess computers that humans do not stand a chance against. And then comes Google AlphaZero, looks at the game, derives the rules, plays for 4 hours against itself, and beats Stockfish, the best chess computer that humankind could build so far, 28-0. We cannot learn so fast and so well. And what applies to the field of cognition with artificial intelligence also applies to the physical form, to the robots. The universal robot Baxter does not need to be programmed. You can guide its arms and fingers and literally show it what to do. For example, if you have taught it to cut onions, you will save that skill and upload it to the global robot skill platform. So each and every Baxter-style robot in the world is able to cut onions immediately. The effort that we make to transfer knowledge and skills from one person to the other is enormous. From kindergarten to schools to colleges and further education, the robots and artificial intelligences, they do not need that. They simply copy the skills. The robots will watch us and they will learn like children by imitating us. They will be watching all of our YouTube videos, hopefully filtering well, and then they can do anything we can. Today, we represent the world 2-dimensionally in photo and video, but soon we will use much more 3-dimensional representations through virtual realities, and then the machines can learn even better to be able to do what we can. When we have recognized and learned, we can advise and consult. If I get seriously ill, if I suffer from cancer, for example, I want this Watson to be used. For several years, Watson has had the skill to advise on finding the best therapies. The system reads millions of medical scientific publications and recommends the best treatment for the patient's cancer based on their genetic profile. And then the second and third best. For the next patient, it does the research again, all within a short time. No doctor can keep up with this performance. However, I would like a human to look at the results. Why? Because I am human. Because I want to look into eyes that I can trust and that make me feel good about Watson's recommendations. But I would also like those people who advise me, like doctors, architects, or lawyers, to use such machines. I would like them to be professional by not ignoring the new tools and not be left behind. Rather, they should sit on top of the increasing performance of these new tools, so as to be carried upwards in the quality of their performance and their professionalism. We can all only benefit from that. And after Watson's advice, I may want or need psychological counseling. AI bots can already do that today. They can ask questions, give hints, engage in dialogue, just as a therapist. But they are not dependent on a limited memory. They will soon be able to treat psychologically almost as well as the best experts on Earth. But the AI bots are not a substitute for humans. They make it possible for therapists to support us more personally and with more time. And they make it possible for millions of people to enjoy individual and yet almost free coaching in everyday life. Consulting also involves communicating. We will be able to speak as many languages as we want. In principle, today all non-native speakers should focus on speaking excellent English and immediately stop learning all other languages. Those who privately want to speak a language out of sheer joy should learn it, of course, but for professional reasons that no longer makes sense. Artificial intelligence today can make voices sound so natural that we can no longer distinguish them from a human voice. AI can even emulate your voice within a few seconds so the machine sounds like you. Already, even the appearance of virtual assistants is so hardly distinguishable from that of a human. So we will soon have access to consultants on any topic and at any time. They will never get tired, never go on vacation, and they will cost almost nothing. Whenever AI can learn a field of knowledge, man will be at disadvantage for standard skills. But in the end, we will still want to talk to a human. But creativity, that's our domain, right? I'm not sure. If you can map creativity into algorithms, if deep learning can learn creative processes, then in this field too, we're no longer the crown of creation. Many years ago, an AI composed a symphony for the London Symphony Orchestra. The orchestra played the symphony and they were surprised that they did not know the piece. Quote, "We were amazed by the quality." This is how good it was. Mind you, it was not composed with software, but by software. There are software machines today that can draw comics from a textual description and even create movies. The idea is not so crazy that the movie scripts and novels of the future will be written by AI, at least the mass products. They too will be guided by the structure of the so-called hero's journey, as most Hollywood movies and novels do. The first experiments are pretty promising. And even Shakespeare-like sonnets, AI is able to write. When AI develops new forms of steel and new vehicle batteries, we will soon be able to use BIM, Building Information Modeling, to do a fully integrated planning of a building or of our home with a touch of a virtual button. We will determine the cornerstones of the house, its functions, its design, the style, and within seconds get 8 variants or 800 variants from which we can choose the best. And of course, even our decision process will be supported by AI. But we will be in charge of acting, of doing things, right? If you need a little bluffing in a purchasing negotiation, the algorithm cannot do that, right? Yes, it can. And AI has been playing poker against the US champions for 30 days, and the human players had no chance. One of the players said, quote, "I always felt that the thing knows which cards I have in hand." And probably that was the case. That is why self-driving cars that make far fewer mistakes and will drive much safer than we do are not that far away, as many still believe. Human error causes more than 90% of fatal accidents. Virtually all of these mistakes will not be made when AI drives the cars. We will be able to even more drastically reduce the number of people killed in traffic. Fighter jet pilots, they have one of the professions with the highest demands on humans. Even very experienced fighter pilots had no chance against an AI called Alpha. They were regularly shot from the virtual sky. And all this ran on hardware that cost only $35. These are all great opportunities that we can take advantage of by leaving action to the machine in a few years, while we engage in more important activities. Will we at least still be administrating the processes? Probably not. What blockchain technologies, or more precisely the distributed ledgers, can do today will take a lot of administrative work from us. Many professionals need to document so much before, during, and after their consultations that they barely have time to deal in detail with their customers, clients, and patients. Therefore, we should welcome the fact that we have less administrative work to do. But hundreds of millions of people worldwide live from simple administrative jobs. For them, there will have to be new jobs and new tasks in the future. And this is going to be one of the greatest challenges humanity ever faced during peacetime. Recognizing, learning, consulting, communicating, creating, acting, administrating, if the machines can already today or soon do all this better, will we as humans at least make the decisions? In Hong Kong, there's a company, they appointed a 6th board member a few years ago with the same voting rights as the other 5. But it's not a human. It's an artificial intelligence that decides on the company's investments in biotech companies. An AI is better at assessing which criminals are most likely to be back in jail after their release. We humans do much worse in this discipline. It is incredibly difficult for us to believe and to accept all that. But at least the scientific experiments show that we have our severe shortcomings in such assessments and decisions. So now, what does the machine still need humans for? The first conference on artificial intelligence was held in 1956. And as early as in the 1960s, we wondered to what extent the machines will take away our jobs. We even asked that question at the beginning of the 19th century, when industrialization was just beginning. At that time, a farmer fed 4 people. Today, a farmer feeds 200. Yet we do not have millions of unemployed farmers. We've always found and invented new jobs. At that time, one could not imagine that one day there would be the job of a web designer, or that it can be a job to make sure that a new car smells the way the manufacturer wants it to smell. However, then as now, we have a hard time to imagine the markets, the businesses, professions, and jobs of the future. But we have to. We will not have less work. We will have more work, but it will be much more sophisticated. Work will put much higher demands on people. Even in the knowledge professions, value creation is being gradually eaten up from the bottom up, that is starting with simple knowledge work such as research and data analysis in the direction of increasingly complex knowledge work. So, what does the machine need humans for? It needs humans for 2 functions. It needs humans to be useful to him or her. We should self-confidently become aware of that fact. If we do not use it, if we do not want it, if we do not buy it and do not pay it, then the AI will not exist. And the machine needs humans to be created, operated, improved, and used by them. On these 2 sides of artificial intelligence and robotics, the machine needs and will need people. It only becomes dangerous when the super-intelligent machine decides at some point in the future that humans are not good enough to develop it. And then the AI itself assumes the role of the developer and the operator. Then we have indeed made our last invention. Then the super-intelligent machine develops the even more intelligent machine, and so on. Then we will not understand it anymore. Then the so-called singularity will have happened. We may then begin to help human evolution by upgrading ourselves with artificial intelligence and robots, merging with it and becoming cyborgs, the combination of human and machine. But that is really futuristic. It will take decades before we see that challenge. So what? Make a skills disruption inventory, an SDI. You can do that on a spreadsheet. In the first column, write down all the capabilities that you personally, your company, and your team have. Write down every skill and every effect you are paid for to achieve. In the other columns, write down all the artificial intelligences, software packages, robots, and offers from any startup that promises to master these skills better than humans. This provides you with two sorts of insights. Number one, you will know which skills are better performed by technology than by you. You must gradually or even immediately invest less in these skills to be performed by people. Ideally, you would employ more AI and more robotics instead of human work, but to a tolerable degree as you help the people on your team acquire new skills. Avoid firing people for technological reasons as much as you can and as long as you can, so you do not lose their experience and their emotional connection to your company. Number two, after the skills disruption inventory, you will know what capabilities you and your team will need as humans in the future because you've not found any substitutive or disruptive technologies or solutions despite thorough research. These are the skills you need to invest in a future intelligent way. What will you live on tomorrow? To know exactly where you and how you need to invest in artificial intelligence and robotics in your organization, and to know what skills you will be paid for in the future, you need a future-proof mission and a motivating vision for yourself and your team about how and where you want to be in a world of artificially intelligent machines. Develop your intelligent vision. Do you want to know more about the future? More than your friends and colleagues? And how to be a visionary leader? My next video is already in the making, so click subscribe and hit the bell too.